brothers, how you guys doing? Good evening. Thanks for checking out, tuning in. Give me 1 second to get this stupid countdown off the screen. There we go. Good evening. Dracula, Mikey, Justin, Theo, good evening guys, how you doing? Hope you're well. Doing pretty well here ourselves. A little bit cold here, but I mean that's always the way here in Scotland at this time of year anyway. So I think it was -12 this morning. Well, the light tonight is washing me out a little bit, but I mean I guess that's fine. Let me just move this light a little bit. Captain Athenos, good evening. How you guys doing? I just need 2 seconds and then we'll get started. We're just mainly chilling tonight though, so nothing. Taking questions from chat, listening to some music. I got some more base coats to do for this new army I'm working on, so it was -1 in London today, yeah. It was -12 here overnight, so yeah, it was pretty freaking cold, I'll tell you that. Yeah, I got one thing to do and then we'll get started. Cool. So, what hobby things are people working on tonight? I got 2 or 3 projects on the go right now. Keeping me very busy, I guess. But these guys they're crying out to get some more base coats on them so I can actually start painting them. So I thought like we just smash some of these base coats out tonight. Nice and simple, I guess. -17 in Canada. Okay. Yeah, we got a good amount of snow. I had to go for a drive tonight, and it, you know, I had to drive pretty slowly, I guess. So, yeah. Sorry about this. Just give me 1 second to get finished and set up. Yeah. But I mean, I think tomorrow is the day of the next pre-orders, right? The multi-part Eradicator kits and the multi-part Blade Guard Veterans. I think they're released tomorrow, and if you haven't heard, I'm sure you have heard me say it a few times, we've ordered both those kits, and we've also ordered the new Storm Speeders, so we're going to be giving away all of those on the channel. You know, as soon as we get the pre-orders, we'll figure out how we'll get a giveaway up. So hopefully, looking forward to that. I think it should be pretty easy to enter, and yeah, I mean, like we're on the road towards 4,000 subscribers, that's for sure. And music is a bit loud, so sorry. How about now? Can you hear me okay? Desktop audio might have got pumped up a little bit. Working on Vanguard Veterans, finished kit bashing on a chaplain on a bike last night. Built my first 500 point Stark Angels box 2 days ago and now have massive plans for more. Can anyone recommend good paint and brushes? Yeah, I mean, we can definitely recommend good paint and brushes. Where are you based, Robert? Still a bit loud. Do you know what? Every time, I swear. Last week the music needed to be at 30 volume to sound good. Tonight it seems like the music needs to be on 6 volume to sound good. I don't know. The setup seems to change every time I load this program. My new son is keeping me busy at the moment. Born Sunday at 6 AM. Hopefully I can start hobbying again once he settles into some sort of routine. Congratulations, Mikey. I know what it's like when you have a newborn, and yeah, hopefully hopefully it won't take too long for him to settle and you can get going again. Sometimes you really just have to, those first few weeks can be pretty rough, right? Like, I remember I actually said to my wife, if we have another baby, we should just do shifts where like one of us just stays awake overnight, because like sometimes the baby just wakes up at like 3 a.m. and they have no knowledge that it's night time, and that's them up for the day, you know. So I was thinking we just do shifts, and then at least both of us would get to go to sleep at some point. Oh, you're in Scotland. Okay, well, I mean, you should. The stuff I use typically is all bought. Like, I don't mind the Games Workshop paint so much. Their white paint kind of sucks, but the rest of their paints are okay. And then I typically use the Element Games brushes. You'll find links to Element Games actually in the video description, because I am affiliate with them. So anything you buy off Element Games, I actually get like a kickback on as well. So this is just yeah, I wouldn't recommend Games Workshop brushes, but this brush here is just a shitty Citadel base brush that I was going to use for base coats. But Element Games, they sell these for like $6. Maybe it's $7 now. Element Games character brushes, and I find them generally very, very long wearing. Right, like this one probably has I want to say like over 150 hours painted on it. I mean, the tip isn't perfect anymore, but I mean, like, that's 150 hours, and I mean, like, it's decent, and I'm still using it. I think I can probably get like another 50 hours out of it. So yeah, I really like the Element Games character brushes. If you want to go one step further, Element Games also sell brushes Artist Opal. They're really good, but they're about $12 a brush, and I don't know if you get much more out of them than the Element ones. I mean, when will you contact the winners? So probably what I'll do is I'll probably, like, the thing that we do on the channel that gets like the most traction or whatnot is our Friday tactics video. Like, that is, I guess, what I've sort of built the channel on currently. I mean, we were getting a lot of views on like our battle reports, but obviously because of COVID we're not playing at the moment. So probably what I'll do is we'll put the giveaway on the Friday tactics video. So it won't be this Friday, so it's either going to be next Friday or the Friday after that, depending on what am I saying? Depending on when I actually have the models in my hands, right? Because I want to take a picture with them to show you that I've actually got them. I'll put it on the Facebook group, and I guess I'll put it on like a community post, and then we might even use it on the thumbnail for the video, or at least we'll mention it in the video. So there'll be basically on one of Friday's videos, not this week. So I guess, like, what is it tomorrow? The 12th. So probably Friday the 19th or Friday the 26th. There'll be somewhere in the video I'll say how you can enter. It'll be very simple. You'll just need to be a subscriber. You'll probably need to like the post. You'll definitely have to leave a comment, and I'll ask you to leave a specific comment so that we won't pick anyone that's randomly left just some random comment. So I'll probably tell you, like, you need to comment on this video, and you need to put this in the comment, and then I guess probably what we'll do is if we put that up on Friday, then on the live stream on Sunday I can pick the winners using some sort of automated system, so you guys can all see it live and make sure, you know, like, just to prove that, like, I'm actually, like, I'm not rigging it in any way. We'll just do it on the live stream. And I think there's a website that what it'll do is it will randomly pick. You can point at a YouTube video, and it will randomly pick a comment from that YouTube video, and you can press like exclude duplicates. So if someone puts multiple comments, you know, they won't get entered multiple times. So yeah, there's a tool that will do that. So we'll grab that and we'll do it on the live stream, I think, probably on the Sunday following the Friday video. So you'll have like Friday, Saturday, and then probably until like 4 PM on Sunday to enter. Element Games, cool. That's where I bought my first kit. Don't worry, man. I'll use your link for the next purchase. Thanks for the advice. Oh, appreciate that, Robert. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't. As I say, the only Games Workshop paint that I loathe is their white paint. I don't mind their white spray, but like white paint in a tin, or sorry, in one of these little pots, I guess I definitely wouldn't recommend it. But, you know, for my Blood Angels, I generally use, I guess it would be Mephiston Red, Evil Sun Scarlet, Dawnstone, Lead Belcher, Abaddon Black. Is it Gene Stealer Purple for like all the little gems and stuff? Yeah, I mean, if you want to talk more about paint, or you want to ask specific paints, you could ask me in the Facebook group. And another thing, I guess there is a painting Commander Dante video on this channel. I think it's the only painting video I've put up, like an actual like tutorial. And in that video, I do go through basically all the paints that I use for Dante, and I pretty much, I mean, all those paints are kind of like you could swap them out and use, you know, the paints used for Dante used for all the Blood Angels, right? So yeah, and I mean, if there's any parts of the model that you're struggling to know what paint to use as well, just ask and I'll tell you what I do for that. Good evening, Gitley. How are you doing? I hope you're well. Good evening, Elder. Nice to see you. Chris, how you doing? Just wanted to mention that we're having an all-out weekend campaign in March. Blood Angels v Space Wolves v Tau v Death Guard v my Necron. It's very exciting. That sounds cool. I've been talking to my friend because we've been locked down since December now, and I basically said, like, the second this lockdown ends, I'm just going to book a whole day off work and we're just going to play Warhammer for the entire day. So, assuming that and I think in Scotland, because in the regional area that I'm in, yesterday there was 0 new cases of COVID, so I don't know how much longer they can keep us locked down if there is literally no COVID here. So they're supposed to be announcing something on the 22nd, so I'm hoping by the end of the month we are going to be out of the lockdown, and if we are, I'll just stream the whole day. So I mean, I guess I don't know how many we'll probably play like 3 games, maybe Blood Angels versus like a couple of different armies. But yeah, maybe I'll just, like, you know, I've bought a lot of new equipment for streaming during this last set of lockdown. I actually bought a lot of it just before, so I think we'll just stream the whole day. And if you guys are bored, or if like me you've not been able to play because of COVID, then I guess you'd be able to at least watch some pretty cool live games. And the list I'm building is super competitive, so yeah, I mean, if you aren't running super competitive lists, then and it's something that you want to get more into, then I guess you could probably check out some of the lists that I'm planning on running as soon as this next lockdown's all over. Blood Angels Commander, just got my Eradicators from the pre-order. Should I build them, then paint them, or build everything but the guns and arms and paint the body first? I mean, that's up to you, man. Like, I do sort of have a pet peeve of like models that hold their guns across the front of their bodies, right? Because obviously it makes it really difficult to paint. Now, I mean, there's 2 things I would say about that, Sutton, is like, how are you going for battle ready paint? Like, because I guess I do almost like battle ready plus. So I guess what I mean by battle ready is Games Workshop show videos of battle ready, and I guess what that means is they just slap on like 3 or 4 colors. The models look decent, but they don't look anything special. They maybe do like 1 wash, maybe do a tiny bit of highlighting, and they call that battle ready. So I guess like I maybe don't edge highlight every model, but I do a bit more than battle ready, right? Do you know what? I can show you my Vanguard veterans here in a second, who are, I would say, like battle ready plus. And yeah, I mean, there is a bit of an annoyance when the chest Aquila is covered up by the gun. But then the question is see if you paint him without having him made, right? Like, you then go and you're gonna spend more time on it, sure, and then you're gonna go ahead and stick the gun over the front of him, and you're probably not gonna see the detail and stuff that you went into underneath, right? I mean, you might see, but my experience as well is like when I paint them and then try and stick them together, paint always comes off, like, because I use the poly cement for plastic models, so like it doesn't stick over the top of paint very well, right? So I always end up making a bit of a mess when I try and do that. So my view is like, I just paint them the best I can. Just off camera here, I'll see if I can rotate it. I've got a giant magnifying glass with a light, like an LED light built in, and I you know, like I guess with having the magnifying glass, if you're worried about getting into those hard to reach places, then the extra directional light, like right in front of your face, and the magnifying glass will you know, like it'll let you see in behind the guns. But I mean, I guess there'll still be places that you just won't be able to paint, or any model I suppose that has a gun flush to their chest, eradicators or not, even like infiltrators and stuff. You may actually notice on these infiltrators that I've got here, I purposely put four out of the 5 of them do not have a gun across their chest, just so I don't have to deal with that. But yeah, but like in behind there. But then the question is, like, see if you look at that with the naked eye and you're trying to look in behind there, like you won't have any light in there. You'll only see the light, you know, like when you're actually sitting there in front of a light on the, you know, like when you're trying to paint it. So I guess my question is, like, if you're going to go to a tournament and you're looking to win the best painted model, then I guess I would say don't build them first. But if you're not going to look for the best painted model and you're just doing what I do, which is like Battle Ready Plus, so you get all the colours on, then you know, do some highlighting, you do some washes, but you're not trying to go like, I guess, really super high quality, then I think it's absolutely fine to make them first and then paint them, and then just, you know, there's always going to be bits, like even looking at this model, see this bit here on the bottom of them, I don't know, it's like the little back guard, like underneath there, because I stuck the base on him, right, he's going to be white underneath there. I don't even know if I can get in there. The brush probably won't angle to have that bit red, but like, will anybody ever notice? I mean, there's something to be said about, like, you are your own worst critic, right? So like, you'll judge your own models worse than anyone else's, because I don't rate my models very highly at all, but and maybe I'm not very good at photographing my models, but see when I take them to like tournaments, or see when I take them to my friends, they're always like, wow John, those look really good, and I'm like, oh thanks, you know, like I always get complimented. And I honestly think the reason I get complimented is this magnifying glass, because it just lets you see. It's like a 300% magnifying glass, so like this guy just looks super big and he's super easy to see all the, you know, all the bits and stuff. I did buy Celestial Grey, John, for wings. I don't think I'm using it right, to be honest. How are you using the Celestial Grey? Because I use it on the wings all the time. Do you know what? I'll show you a Vanguard Veterans that I've done. Let me see. Right, so this Vanguard Veteran here is about 75–80% done, I guess. That's the Celestial Grey on those wings on both the Power Fist and the shoulder pad, right? And I kind of think it looks pretty cool. I guess I'm going to put my hand under it to get really fine focus there. But like, I guess this is what I mean by Battle Ready Plus. So, you know, I've done quite a bit of different colours. You know, there's a lot more than 3 colours on this model. I've done washing pretty much over most of the model. I've done 3 colours into the eyepieces, and then, yeah, on some of these bits, like the wings, for example, what we do is we put down a coat of Celestial Grey. Actually 2 coats, because Celestial Grey is pretty thin, right? Thank you for saying the wings look sick. Yeah, this is what I was talking about. I don't know if I think I'm the greatest painter, but people always compliment me. So we put down 2 coats of Celestial Grey on the wings, then we give it a coat of Nuln oil. A reasonable coat, so like, I guess it gets onto all the feathers, and then I dry brush it afterwards with Praxi White. And these are all GW paints, and it's a very simple technique, but I think it actually has a very good result. I can get I can get one of my Sangori Guard if you want to see it actually on a Sangori Guard rather than just on a bit like that. 1 second. So I think the Blood Angels are perfectly competitive Athenas. I'm going to be destroying people as soon as this lockdown goes on. Ends. Sorry. So I guess here's the Sanguinar, and I guess his wings look a bit different because like. I guess like since there's like in here I think it looks great, but on the tips of the wings maybe it looks a little bit weird, but I mean it's a very simple step, right? Like I said, it's just celestial grey, null oil, and then a dry brush of white, and then so that's I guess what it looks like on a bigger model. But then here's what it looks like on your Sangori Guard. So this is obviously a Sangori priest, and I painted him a little bit different. He was the Sangori priest that was always with my Sangori Guards. I painted him sort of gold with white robes. But yeah, maybe you are using it wrong, Chris. But I mean, I think it's a simple technique to do the wings nicely. I was actually thinking maybe just making a video on that because quite a lot of people have asked me like how I do the wings. I don't even remember where I got that technique from, but yeah, like I said, it's like super simple and it's quick and. Yeah, I mean, I guess although I say like I'm not trying to be the best painter. If there's techniques that I can use to like make things look pretty good pretty quickly, I'll definitely try it. You know. But yeah, I do not recommend Citadel brushes at all. Like this one was, like this brush looked like it was new. I might have used it before. Hey, thank you for becoming a subscriber, Sergio. Appreciate it. Oh, and Dylan, hello, how you doing? Thanks for subscribing as well. It's been a busy week for subscribers on the channel. We are pushing towards 4K, which will be really nice. And here we go. What always happens, is a chaplain a decent HQ choice? What do you value more, one warlord trait or the BA relic? I plan to drop down Seth, chaplain, chapter champion, but not sure to use Icon of the Angel on the Warlord trait for the champion. Why don't you Yeah, I'd probably use the Warlord trait on for the champion, right? Because the champion can take that Blade of Triumph, which is kind of a sick sword. You know, like if you can use his Warlord trait to get your rerolls of the charge deking, and then like his sword is +3 strength, -3 AP, and 3 damage a swing, right? Like, and I mean, he gets like 7 attacks, I think, or 6 or 7 attacks. I mean, I'd probably go for the Warlord trait with him, and then the sword maybe, if that's an option for you, I guess. Is a chaplain a decent HQ choice overall? Yes, I mean, chaplains are generally pretty good HQ choices because of the litanies. I mean, becoming the Master of Sanctity and getting those 2 litany casts that go in 2s is also a great choice. I mean, I think that actually makes chaplains quite a bit stronger than they were before. Litanies see when litanies cast on 3s, I seem to fail them all the time. See when litanies cast on 2s, I seem to never fail them. So, yeah, I think the litany cast on 2s is really good. And personally, I actually built a Primaris chaplain on a bike because he's no joke with his toughness 5, 7 wounds. I mean, toughness 5 makes you so much stronger against small arms fire. You wouldn't believe, you know. Okay, sorry if I've missed anyone in chat. Let me see if I missed any questions. Okay, so you're going to move into out of lockdown as well. Yeah, I mean, we're all just praying for this stupid lockdown to end at this point, aren't we? Name is Brian Walker on Facebook as well. Okay, all right. Yeah, I always see you on Facebook, Brian. I never put two and two together. I hate painting white. Yeah, white can be, but sometimes painting white is maybe just because we're used to using Games Workshop white paints. So just if you have any tubs of Games Workshop white paint, honestly bin it. I guess you can use Games Workshop white spray, but I honestly wouldn't recommend using their white paint at all. It comes out all like lumpy and globby or like really thin, and it's just weird texture. Plus, it's like so thin, and like I remember the first Sangre Guard I did. I honestly did the top of their wings like maybe like 5 coats or something to get a thing of white, and then I bought some cheap white from Amazon with Prime. It was here the next day. It cost like $1.99. I'm sure I've linked it on this stream before. And yeah, it was like just one coat straight over gold, and it's absolutely fine. What green do you use for the laurels on the Vanguard Vet helmets? Because it looks great. I initially use gold or silver for laurels, so I use Warpstone green, and that's one of the colours that I use inside their eye sockets as well. So I mean, I guess this is why I was saying like my Dante video might actually be useful, because like when you look at the back of the box, right, when you buy a box of models from Games Workshop and they recommend you like, I want to say like 50 fucking paints. Like it's no joke, like it's daunting how many paints are on the back of the box, right? Like when I first got back into the hobby, because I had been out of the hobby for a long time, like 10 years, I won't bore you with the story, but I got a reason and I left for a while, and then when I came back, one of the first boxes I picked up was like a box of Sangre Guard, because when I originally played, way back when Sangre Guard didn't exist, it was actually called Honor Guard for Blood Angels. And it was basically a special assault squad that I guess over time merged into what we now know as the Sangre Guard. But back in the day, it was like Dante plus his Honor Guard. So I had the Honor Guard box from way ages ago, but I never had any Sangre Guard box. And you pick up the Sangre Guard box and you look on the back of it, and I mean, do you know what? I've got like oh, they've changed the boxes. Huh, because I was going to say I've got one of the new boxes right here for the Vanguard veterans that I bought. But do you know what? They've changed them. They got rid of the bit that I'm talking about that took up the bottom half of all the boxes, which was like, these are the 50 million paints you'll need to paint these models. I don't do that at all. I have about 10 paints that, like I bought a lot more, but honestly, like if I had to pick, I could probably pick 10 paints and you would probably paint all the Blood Angel stuff that I'd done with maybe like 12, maybe 10 is being a bit over the top, but certainly not like the 30 different ones that they recommend for every different box. Is it better to use a generic chaplain for customization options than using Astaroth? I'm torn and have yet to actually field plain jump pack chaplain that isn't named. So I take it you own Astaroth and you own a plain jump pack champion then, CJ, or do you are you looking for where to go basically? Vallejo white for the win. Thin that with white ink. Yeah, I think that's the one I used as well. Frank, thanks for reminding me the name of it. It is really good, and it is $2 on Amazon. And it does, you can get Prime delivery on it. So do yourself a favour if you're struggling with white and just buy that Vallejo white. It's absolutely better than the Games Workshop one. So I'm basically giving these guys a second coat of Evil Sun Scarlet. So these guys will be really bright, but I'm kind of avoiding the head because I'm gonna make their heads yellow. These are incursors, so they normally have yellow faceplates because they normally have open heads. But I don't really love painting faces. It's more the eyes that bother me. I find eyes really difficult. I find eyes difficult in Space Marine helmets, but I've got a good strategy to do them there, so they're not too bad. But usually, even after I've painted eyes, I always have to go back and touch something up, right? Thin your white with ink, not water. Is that? Do you know? Like I just aren't going to use the Games Workshop white anymore. I mean, if I've got any pots of it, they're so old now that I just wouldn't use them. Problem is is that on one he kills any model, including your characters. Yeah, I mean you can't. I don't like any spell that will kill your own characters. And I guess Astaroth and/or plasma guns on high power. I just hate things that will kill your own characters. I guess I run most of my armies about being survivable, so that's why I've leaned into the biker meta a little bit more in 9th edition than I've ever I've never really run bike characters, but in 9th edition, holding objectives, being alive at the end of the game is super important. So yeah, I mean I've been leaning really heavily into the meta of having bikes, the extra toughness, the extra wounds, and making your characters, being able to customize your characters for the first time, and as long as I can really remember, has been really great for me. I've made some really, really strong characters. I've obviously told you guys about them on the stream as well. So, or maybe not the stream as well. The tactics videos as well. But yeah, it's been different anyway now. So as far as Deep Strike goes and jump pack characters, I generally I'm not running any of the named Blood Angels characters in my army list. I'm running sometimes a Selfless Healer with a jump pack, or sometimes a Librarian with a jump pack, but my captains are on bikes for sure. My Chapter Master, he's on a bike. My Death Company Captain, he's on a bike. My Primaris Chaplain, he's on a bike. So, I mean, it's a bit weird, but I mean, I guess I'm literally going sort of the power gaming route, and that for me is the strongest I feel I can field at the moment. So that's why I've focused on it, or that's why I've the second I actually finished painting these guys and the Vanguard Vets, and I've got some suppressors to paint, I'm actually going straight on to painting some more bike characters. So they're high on the priority list to get painted. I like Vallejo white or ivory over a grey base, like Celestial Grey when doing white. Yeah, I mean, I guess there is something to be said when painting white to put down some sort of grey base colour first, and that can help you a lot. So that is a good idea, Arc Suit. Definitely something I would suggest as well. I know an Astrath trying to determine whether or not to get a jump chaplain to take his place. Well, CJ, if I was you, there's two ways you can do it. I guess the question is, are you dead set on Deep Strike? So if you're dead set on Deep Strike, then yeah, I would get some sort of jump pack chaplain. And there is some options there. You can get one that has a power fist if you want to have that flat 2 damage and have have him have really good wound rolls against vehicles. So there's a chaplain with a power fist, or where I am right now, I would buy the Primaris Chaplain on a bike. There's just so much good stuff you can do with him, so Primaris Chaplain on a bike, 115 points. I think he's really competitive for 150 points. If you compare him to a regular chaplain with a jetpack, he's going to be maybe 5 points more, or maybe even exactly the same number of points. And he's going to have +1 toughness and +2 wounds, and I mean that alone is huge. You can then throw something like Armor Indomitus on him, so he's he's got his 2+ save, he's got his 4+ invulnerable save, he has 8 wounds, and he's got toughness 5. And then you can, make him the Wise Orator, so he can cast 2 litanies per turn. Because he's on that bike, he can basically a guaranteed 20-inch advance. So I mean, turn 1, just advance 20 inches across the board and hide and cover. And pretty sure with his 14-inch move after a 20-inch advance, you can get your charge off in turn 2 if you need to. You can give him the Benediction of Fury, which is a Space Marine relic, which gives him a flat 3 damage a swing and 6s do mortal wounds. You combine that with Mantra of Strength, then you're doing a flat 4 damage per swing and 6s do mortal wounds. You know, like, I generally think the Chaplain on a bike right now is kind of a monster. I mean, I did a video on him on this channel, like just when they announced the model. I mean, if you search the channel for Chaplain on a bike, you'll find it. But it's, you know, like when I see a character like that, where it's like, oh my god, this guy is going to be an absolute nightmare for my enemies to kill, and he can do that much damage. You know, like that's super attractive for me. I think the big thing that I'm struggling with in 9th edition is there's so many people running Melta-guns, right? Like multi-meltas, eradicators, Sisters of Battle running Melta-guns and infernal pistols. It just feels like there's so many strength 8 weapons in the game right now, with so many shots. Having our characters get wounded on 2s from weapons is, you know, like there's you can't cast transhuman or non-Primaris models as well. You know, like if we talk about that biker, if he does advance, then he's got Skillful Riders for -1 to hit. He's also Primaris, so you can give him the what is it? The transhuman physiology if you really want him to be like even, you know, like if his toughness 5 isn't enough and you want them to take him even harder to wound, you can do that. There just generally seems like there's a lot of options, and I've been running that before lockdown. I was running that Primaris Chaplain on a bike, and I won pretty much every game he was in. I mean, maybe he wasn't the MVP in every game, but I mean, like, he stuck around for a long time. He was difficult to kill. In one of the games, he was absolutely the MVP. He had, at one point, it was like, it's a battle report that I haven't put on the channel yet, but I filmed it just before lockdown ended. I was actually thinking it was going to be one of the last battle reports I could put up, you know, because it's like archived footage. And I was thinking of putting it up at some point pretty soon, and I want to say it was like the Primaris Chaplain on a bike with about 20 Death Guard around him. Like, he was just 20 Death Guard around him, and he actually still killed one of the enemies while we fight models, and like scored me points in a really critical point in the game. So yeah, if you want to jump at Chaplain, they'll go for it, but definitely have a look at that Primaris one on the bike before you buy it, just because he's really, really interesting. Good evening, Highland. How are you doing? Sorry. I like the idea that you're 160 point chapter master or something with no chance to change. It sucks. I'm not sure what you mean, no chance to change. Jolly says, you reminded me I need to pick up a bike chaplain. Yeah, I mean, I think they're generally very good. You know, you can convert the bike chaplain, or you can convert Indomitus models. Like, I didn't buy a bike chaplain. I converted one of the chaplains from Indomitus with Outrider. So like, I've actually also converted a Primaris captain on an Outrider's body as well. I know that model doesn't exist yet, but I feel like it's probably only a matter of time. If they gave us a Primaris chaplain on a bike, it's probably only a matter of time before we get a Primaris captain on a bike too. So I just made one with a Thunderhammer just to be ready, I guess. Man, I hate the bike aesthetic. I get you. I mean, it doesn't feel 100% Blood Angels doing the bike stuff, but at the same time, it's really hard to argue with the results, right? Like, when you just, like, those, I've seen how survivable those guys are in multiple games now compared to, like, I like Dante, you know, like, I used to run Dante a lot, and like, he just outperforms him every game, and I mean, sure, he's on a bike and it doesn't quite fit the Blood Angels quite as nicely, but I've tried to paint the bike pretty cool. I painted it gold, you know, or painted the bike black and then painted its rider gold, so try to do something cool. You could always go for turn 2, for turn 3 a charge, I guess. You don't, yeah, I mean, you sometimes the turn 2 charges aren't as good as we hope as well, right? Because, like, Savage Echoes in turn 3 is really the game changer. So sometimes that can actually be okay. But I mean, I'm pretty sure I've moved that biker into key positions, and he does have auras and stuff. So I typically don't deep strike my Sanguinary Guard though. I usually start them on the board. It's more likely that I deep strike like Death Company or Vanguard Veterans. Really, I try and probably use like the cover within my deployment zone for the Sanguinary Guard, like some sort of obscuring cover, and then try and get them across the tabletop. So am I getting turn 2 charges on Sanguinary Guard? Not always. So for my strategies, it seems to work fine enough. But I mean, maybe some of you want to be engaged a bit earlier, and I get that. I just like always dictating. You know, like the Sanguinary Guard are quite weak now. Having no invulnerable save isn't great for an elite unit that costs like 300 points. You know. I was thinking of sticking the Sanguinary Ancient within Scepters, but it doesn't work with Plasma Death anymore. Yeah, I mean... Yeah, I mean, I guess you would just have to fire them on low power, like... Thinking of sticking a Champer Champion with the Relic and the Warlord trait in a drop pod with 2 squads of company vets, 1 with combi meltas and storm shields and a multi-melta, and 4 with lightning claws. You know, I did that math hammer on the drop pod, and the multi-meltas actually didn't do as much as I'd hoped. I mean, they work better on some sort of chapter that have like Iron Hands, where they can move and not take the -1 from heavy weapons. But I mean, drop pod deep strikes are pretty good. Just I'm not 100% sold on multi-meltas being the best option for Blood Angels there. Terminator should be toughness 5 because reasons. I know it's like looking a gift horse in the mouth after the additional wound, but I like Terminators too much. Yeah, I mean, it does seem strange though, right? That they made like transhuman Primaris only. You know, like you would think models like Terminators should be allowed to use their transhuman physiology as well. Or maybe if they didn't want to give it to all the regular firstborn, they should have at least given some sort of defensive Terminator one. I think that's one thing that I expected to see more of in the Blood Angel Codex, or the supplement. I was kind of hoping to see a few more ways to like add defensive powers to our units, or have defensive powers for our units. I guess we just didn't get it. Looking for something to pressure on the first turn with a Forlorn Fury Death Company squad. Do you think it's viable? I mean, I've seen people use Forlorn Fury to great effect, right? Like, people use it in tournaments. Steven over in Vanguard Tactics uses it to great effect. I think I struggle with it because there's something to be said about Forlorn Fury in that it can make you overly aggressive, right? Like, you can be jumping in. You can try and jump in super early in the game, and maybe, you know, there's not enough units to back you up, or, you know, without Savage Echoes, you're not going to do the damage you need. So my experience of Forlorn Fury personally isn't great, and I think it's maybe because I get overexcited. You know, like, oh, I could Forlorn into this, and then I do it, and it doesn't come off, or something like that. And I think you're right. If you are going to Forlorn Fury into the enemy in turn 1, you need something to back up the Death Company, or you will just lose the whole unit. And you know, if it's a 300 point unit and they don't kill 300 points of stuff, you've basically had a negative trade. So I guess just if you're going to Forlorn Fury, I guess you just need to be really smart. You need to have some sort of plan for backup. And yeah, I mean, I guess you need like a big, probably a 10-man or an 8-man Death Company to really make it effective, right? I found it silly that non-Terminators can use Thunderhammers. Yeah, I mean they kind of kept like because they did have lore about only Terminators using thunder hammers. I think it was like assault cannons as well. They said only Terminators could carry assault cannons. I guess they kept that, but they lost everything as well. And yeah, that's buzzing does point out that Dante had a good boost around on a bike during the devastation of Baal. So it's not that too. I mean, Dante's jump pack did run out of energy on devastation of Baal, but and he borrowed the bike. But I mean, yeah, Dante was on a bike. Do you know what? Dante rode in an impulsor as well in Darkness in the Blood. So if you didn't read Darkness in the Blood yet, Dante obviously went in an impulsor, which is impossible because regular Marines aren't allowed in impulsors. They can only transport Primaris. So Dante's being on a bike, he's been in an impulsor. What's next, I guess? Next he's going to go on a drop pod or something where you're not allowed to go with a jump pack, but he's fucking Dante, so he just does it anyway, you know? So yeah, maybe at some point they'll get rid of that stupid rule where Primaris units can't go in, non-Primaris units can't go in Primaris vehicles. I mean, they're smaller, so why would they not be allowed to go in, you know? Guys, all the Horus Heresy books are on sale in the Humble Bundle for 14 quid. That's pretty cool. You should. I'm not sure if you can put links in chat, Robert, but you could easily put that into the Facebook group and tell people that. I'd be absolutely fine with that. I was reading this. I was ranting this week at Dark Angels Azrael getting +2 CP and Dante only gets +1. It always happens. The chapter that gets their codex at the start of an edition ends up being a little bit weaker, and I mean I guess that's what the Psychic Awakening books were last time, right? Because we didn't have Savage Echoes at the start of 8th edition, right? That came with the Psychic Awakening, I think, because I remember we got like a big power spike, right? When Psychic Awakening came out. So I mean maybe that'll happen again for us at some point during 9th edition, I guess. They're slowly trying to bleed out the Firstborn, so they won't give them the buff. I don't know if they are trying to bleed out the Firstborn. I mean, would they have given them 2 wounds and Terminators 3 wounds if they were totally trying to get rid of them? I don't know. I mean, I think they'll... I mean, they still sell all the boxes, right? And the Primaris models are still so limited, right? And what I mean by that is the weapon options for the Primaris models generally sucks. You know, it's like the Death Company can have a single Thunderhammer. Wow, that's so exciting, you know? So I think I don't know if they're totally set on bleeding out Firstborn Marines yet. Maybe it'll come, but if it is going to come, then like we need to have something like I honestly hate the options that the Primaris models get. I just find them super limiting, and I mean, I guess it's okay with like your troops or something, you know, like I don't mind the Phobos troops having no options, but for a lot of things I do mind them having no options, you know. Like Blade Guard vets would be pretty cool if they had some better options as well, you know. I mean, they're decent as is, but if they had some better options, would people field more of them? Probably. I mean, I plan to have a drop pod, like I said before, plus 5-man unit of Death Company. So Seth, Champion, Chaplain, 7 vets. You've got too many guys. Drop pod can only carry 10 man. Unless you're doing a double drop pod. Primaris Terminator is going to be a thing. I don't know if Primaris Terminators would be a thing. I imagine not, because of the lore, right? And the lore behind Terminator armor, like there's only supposed to be so many suits of it and they can't replace it. So in some ways our aggressor is not like your is Gravik's armor not kind of like your Terminator armor for Primaris, I guess. I don't know if they'll go there with that. There's loads of Black Library books in the Audible sale today as too. Do you know what? I actually picked up a book in the Audible sale today as well. Another one of the what's it called? The Shield. No, the Siege of Terra. I've got the first 4 books, so trying to get through them. Do you know what? I've been getting quite a bit further through the first one, and do you know what? Sanguinius is starting to pop up a bit more in that book. So, I generally like any book that has Blood Angel stuff in it. Dante rides the drop pod down, not in it, on it. Yeah, Dante could literally stand on top of the drop pod. That would be cool, I suppose. Like he's like, I don't need to be in the drop pod. I'll just stand on top of it, and then we could get a new chapter ability for like some CP. A jump pack unit could stand on top of the drop pod. I don't know what it would give them. You know how the Sisters of Battle get to shoot when they arrive from Deep Strike, the Xeraphim. Maybe we get to shoot our Sangre Guard as they arrive on top of the drop pod. There you go, Highland. We could be Warhammer 40,000 game designers. Hashtag balanced. They give them 2 wounds to homologize them with the Primaris, so the models can be just Marines. Yeah, I mean it's hard to say why they give them 2 wounds. I do generally think tactical squads are weak right now. Assault squads are generally very weak as well, I think. So I guess you can use a tactical squad to hold an objective cheaply, but in actual combat prowess, I feel like it's kind of poor. Alright, I'm so sick of doing red base coats right now. But 2 more models, and then I was going to say, is there any more base coats to get this next army list painted? I think that's it. Whew. What's your thought on vets with power axes and shields, as I have no claws? Surely you can pick up lightning claws like super cheap on eBay. The claws are like really solid, man. Where are you located, Mike? So which country are you in? Because there's a couple of kit websites that will sell you bits. Plus, I bet you if you actually are in the Facebook group and you ask someone would probably sell you some lightning claws as well. I don't think I have enough to give. Like, I don't think I have any to give away, but I always buy like extra spares and stuff on eBay. I actually ordered another. I got 5 torsos for Vanguard veterans last night on eBay for like $150. Just because like I want to make more with lightning claws as well. I mean, I'm sure your axes will be okay. Like, I don't think they'll generally be bad or anything, but I think lightning claws right now are just performing really, really solidly, and all the reroll for the wounds is pretty huge, especially with Red Thirst stacked on it. Bladeguard veteran sergeant with a heavy thunderhammer, take my money. Yeah, I mean, I don't know why they haven't done the Bladeguard with some thunderhammers. They're not a million miles away from the swords that they've got, right? And there's cool ways, you know, like they had that special Bladeguard Ancient that I guess, like, I don't use it, but if we could equip them with thunderhammers, would people maybe use the Bladeguard Ancient? Yeah, maybe. They're slowly taking the options away from the Firstborn to limit their options to be in line with Primaris. Yeah, I hate that. I mean, I don't know if they took away that many options in 9th. I feel like, you know, like your general captain and stuff, like they still have a large list of weapons. If anything, I thought they maybe added a couple, because I don't remember being able to equip relic blades in 8th edition. Maybe you could. But yeah, I don't know why the Primaris need to be so limiting. It's generally very annoying. Five-man Death Company for Forlorn Fury. I don't know if you do a 5-man Death Company for Forlorn Fury, how do you keep the Death Company alive? I mean, they smash into a unit and then you're just happy, you know, like, do you just you're just happy to sacrifice that Death Company straight off the bat at the beginning of the game. See, I guess that's my issue with Forlorn Fury, because if you kill the unit you're engaged into, you're going to be very exposed. And I mean, even if you don't kill the unit you're engaged into, they just fall back and shoot you. So, or they fall back and the rest of their army shoots you, and you're so far away from the rest of your troops it can be difficult. And usually you're probably not going to be in cover, especially if they've just fallen back from close combat. What's your thoughts on Mephiston? I mean, Mephiston's decent. I think where Mephiston stands for me right now is he is now an infantry killer. If you have an enemy that has a lot of infantry and you want like a unit to just smash into them and kill a lot of infantry, I think that's where Mephiston's going to be. I think before he could fight armor pretty effectively. I don't think he does that now. There used to be the ability for him to fight twice, which gave him like, the 22 attacks, and that usually meant he was able to kill or cripple armor in a single turn. Without the ability to fight twice, then he doesn't survive so well because he doesn't have an invulnerable save. So that's why I think Mephiston now is an infantry killer, and if you want to be killing harder targets or characters, then I think the Librarian Dreadnought is where you want to be for that. And I don't think that's a bad thing, because I think the Librarian Dreadnought is actually really strong, and I mean he can now be upgraded to the Chief Librarian as well, so you can get the same number of powers that Mephiston. He was always better than Mephiston, because Mephiston was always better because he got one more power, but now the Librarian Dreadnought can have the same number of powers, and he can do the same number of denies if you have upgraded him to Chief Librarian. I mean, it does make him cost a little bit more, but sometimes having that extra power is going to be useful, and then there's a stratagem that lets us cast an additional power every turn, right? So, you could consider essentially casting 3 powers with the Librarian Dreadnought, or with Mephiston, so... But yeah, I mean, I think Mephiston's in an okay place. I feel like his Primaris upgrade could have brought more value for him. Honestly, brother, I've been using the Librarian Dreadnought way more than Mephiston in 9th edition. Death Company Thunderhammers are double-handed, but they should be heavy Thunderhammers. It would be an easy rule change, and it would reflect the model better. Yeah, I think you're 100% right there, Highland. They are two-handed Thunderhammers the Death Company wield, and it should either be that or that they don't suffer the -1 to hit because they're using both their hands on it, right? I think both of those would be easy changes for Games Workshop to make, and it would maybe bring the Death Company back into the fold a bit. Like, we talked this week about how generic Vanguard veterans in some situations are possibly a little bit more strong than the Death Company, which I don't think anyone was thrilled by. I mean, in the poll I put up on the YouTube, I mean, people still voted more for the Death Company over the Vanguard veterans, but as when you actually look at the math, when you look at how 9th edition plays and how you win games of 9th edition, is you have models on all the objectives, or you have models still alive doing actions and stuff like this. When you talk about it that way, it makes it really hard to count those Vanguard veterans out and have a Death Company. Obviously, Death Company can't perform actions, they can't fall back, so like you can't save the last the amount of times like I would fall back a jump pack squad with like 1 or 2 guys left and then go hide it somewhere on the map to score points. Be it engage on all fronts, be it like relentless assault or something, and do that all the time, and like the Death Company can't do that, right? Would Xandroid Rust Primer make Blood Angels look red off? I have no access to white primer for several weeks. Someone else would need to answer that, but I think that Xandroid Dust is probably light enough that you could prime them, and then what do you normally put on them? Are you just a Mephiston red guy, Adolf, or what base coats do you use? Oh right, so the Death Company Forlorn Fury next to the guys coming out of the drop pod. Well, I mean, that could work, I suppose. I mean, at that point, you're spending so many points and you're spending CP. Do you not just want to go ham and have a 10-man Death Company? That's how, you know, like at some point that little play that you've got with like a drop pod, Seth, a chaplain, a champion, the 5 death company. I mean, like you're at 500-600 points at this point, right? So is that you know, that's becoming like a main strategy as opposed to like a bit of a tactical counterplay or something at that point, I would think. John said it. I'm guessing the Primaris Terminators being a thing, but he made a good point that we already have Gravis armor. I need Terminators to feel special. Yeah, I mean, Terminators are great models, and I mean, we still have access to the 2 different types of Relic Terminators, and yeah, I mean, I don't know. I kind of agree with you in that like them being toughness 4 is a little bit annoying, but like if they're going to make them toughness 5 and put their points up, let's say they're going to put their points up like 10 points per model for toughness 5, like they're going to get crazy expensive. They already are very expensive, so I don't know if I don't know how hard I would be pushing for toughness 5 if it means we have to see their points go up again, you know. Good evening, Hydra, how you doing? I'm going to use it on my 10 DC PI for early objective grab. You said you have a video you like 7 to 9 Sanguine Guard with 2 fists, right? What about 5 Vanguard Vets plus 2 hammers and have lightning claws? So I only recently worked on Vanguard Vets with lightning claws, right? And like none of them are painted. The Vanguard Vets that I'm painting at the moment, I have 11 on the painting table behind me, and what I was painting was 3 Thunderhammers with Storm Shields, 3 Power Fists with Storm Shields, 3 Chainswords with Storm Shields, a Relic Blade and Storm Shield, and then a Relic Blade and Infernal Pistol. So basically, like I was giving myself options before I realised quite how good Lightning Claws were. If I'd known back then how Lightning Claws, it would probably been a bit different, but I do like... I've run the Vanguard Vets in various loadouts. I always tend to take a couple of Chainsword models because they're nice and cheap to take the wounds on. So I mean, I think in the last game I played it was like 2 Thunderhammers, 2 Power Fists, 3 Chainswords and the Sergeant or something, you know, like, so, and then in one of the other games it was 3 Power Fists, 3 Chainswords and the Sergeant. So yeah, I mean, I guess the one thing to say about the Thunderhammers on the Vanguard Vets is like they do make the models, like at that point it becomes 37 points a model, which is really quite expensive for a Vanguard Veteran. So if you're going to run a Thunderhammer on the Vanguard Veteran, I'm thinking that you either run it as the Sergeant, so the Sergeant could take a Thunderhammer, and maybe, I mean at that point maybe the Sergeant takes a Thunderhammer Infernal Pistol, but like I said, the one that I made, let me show you him because he's a cool model. So this was a Vanguard Veteran Sergeant. He's actually a bit of a conversion, Death Company jump pack and stuff. But yeah, I like. I do like having the Sergeant and the Vanguard Veterans with something else. And I mean, the scary thing that I didn't realise before I made all those guys, right? Because I made all those Vanguard Veterans a while ago now. Maybe even before that Lightning Claw rule was announced. I'm generally a really slow painter. I mean, like, if you've been watching the channel for the last hour, you'll notice that in like an hour, all I've done is base coats of red, and this is actually the 4th coat of. This is the 4th coat of paint on these guys. So it just generally takes me a long time to get models painted when I'm, you know, like I'm doing 4 coats before I go anywhere with it. But yeah, I mean, I guess I just have this sort of like very vibrant colour scheme, and to get that, I need to put a lot of coats of red to build up that red to begin with. But yeah, the thing that I didn't realise was Lightning Claw's wound toughness 8 at 55% of the time with the red thirst, right? And to me, that's kind of nuts. Because if you think about like Thunderhammers wound toughness 8 66% of the time, but they have -1 to hit, right? So basically what you're saying is a Lightning Claw is more likely to wound a toughness 8 model. Or like if you have the same number of attacks, Lightning Claws versus Thunderhammers, you're actually going to end up with more wounds from Lightning Claws against toughness 8 than you are going to end up Thunderhammers. And when you put it like that, I mean, this is why I dive into all the maths on the channel to, you know, to see what is the most competitive and stuff. And when you put it like that, I'm like, that's pretty mad. So, do you even need Thunderhammers? Maybe you just need a Relic Blade. Or someone in one of the video comments this week actually made a really interesting point about Thunderhammers on Death Company. So he said that, so they've changed Thunderhammers on Death Company, and we've talked about this already in the stream, how the Thunderhammer takes up both hands for the Death Company, and they're 15 points per or 15 points per hammer now for the Death Company, right? Which is quite a lot of points. You know, like you're basically making a Death Company model move from 25 points to 40 points, which is a lot. And I actually have like a box of Death Company that isn't fully built. Like I think I just bought a couple. I bought them just to do a couple of things or a couple of conversions. So I've got this box of Death Company, and someone in one of the comments to a video this week said, "Have you considered, rather than Thunderhammers on Death Company, have you considered Power Fists and Infernal Pistols? Because they're the same cost, and if you're Forlorn Furying up the map, for example, let's say you normally run 4 Thunderhammers. Well, if you're running 4 Infernal Pistols and 4 Power Fists, how does that help you? Well, like, if the enemy has some sort of transport, you know, 4 Infernal Pistols could actually pop open that transport, explode it, and then your Death Company could make their turn 1 charge into the contents of the transport, and you'd have the exact, you know, you wouldn't really lose much. You'd lose 1 damage from each Thunderhammer, but you've got Power Fist instead. If anything, the Power Fist will have more EP than the Thunderhammer. So if you actually math hammered it out against, and especially if you're fighting up against 2 damage models, then you've lost nothing, right? Because you'd essentially waste damage with the Thunderhammer. So someone had me thinking, and I mean, I guess maybe you could almost say the same thing for the Vanguard Veterans. This has gone like way off topic now, but you could definitely consider, like, what about like a Power Fist on a Vanguard Veteran is 8 points, so 4 points cheaper than the Thunderhammer. Is it? I actually don't know. I mean, I think Death Company, any number of models can take Infernal Pistols, right? But like maybe for the Vanguard Vets, it's only the Sergeant that can take the Infernal Pistol. I'd have to check that. But typically, I have mentioned I like having an Infernal Pistol or 2 in squads as well, because it gives you some options. But if you're dead set on running that Forlorn Fury Death Company, would a bunch of Infernal Pistols, especially if you know you're going to be able to get really close in engagement range after that turn 1 sort of alpha strike, 12-inch move pre-game, then another 12-inch move, are you going to be within 6 of an enemy at that point after moving 24 inches in turn 1? Potentially, and if you are in range of a transport, you know, you could blow up the transport and then make like a charge against, I don't know, sometimes people put like Devastator squads or whatever in transports. You know, take out a Devastator squad in turn 1. Probably a pretty good trade, I would guess. Good evening, Reziel. How you doing? Sorry if I didn't say hello to you, Hydra. How are you? And Dolph says I usually use Mephiston Red. So does anyone ever paint Mephiston Red over Xandri Dust? Because that's the only spray Dolph has access to at the moment. I actually don't know if... I mean, I feel like if you did a few coats of it, you'd probably be okay. And I mean, the other option is you could spray the Xandri Dust, and then maybe you could do like what I'm doing here. You could do a base coat of like a really light grey if you've got something, like a Celestial Grey, or what are those new greys that they use for the contrast paint? I don't really use contrast paint, so I don't have them, but I know that there was like Grey Seer, maybe, I think is one of them. Should have sound progress on my bike soon. Yeah, I can't wait to see. John, that Vanguard Veteran Sergeant is awesome. Thanks, man. A few people were confused to why I was painting them gold, but do you know what? They are awesome. You know, like I'm just so these guys are veterans, and these guys are going to be red with gold helmets. But for the Vanguard veterans, I just figured, screw it, they're just going to be gold with red helmets. I think I was honestly just bored of painting red at this point, so I was like, right, I'm just going to paint them gold, just because I wanted to change from red. I bought Sanguinary Guard through your Element Games link. Does that give you a kickback? Yeah, they all. Every purchase through Element Games gives me a kickback, buddy. It's actually a really good kickback. Like it's literally 5%. So if someone throws in like $100 order, then I get £5, and you know, obviously there's like taxes and bullshit, like on any money you earn that you have to deal with. But yeah, my goal for the channel in 2021 is like, we're going to move to 4K, probably, yeah, I mean, I say like, we're going to move to 4K, I don't even have a 4K monitor in this room, so I wouldn't be able to watch my own streams in 4K, but I feel like that's where the world's going, and you know what, you know, the camera that I use at the moment is 1080, and it's fine, but you know, it's just like a home camcorder. So I've been wanting for a while to get a better camera, so we're going to get a better camera. It'll mean better quality in the battle reports, it'll mean better quality on the videos every week, so you know, every little helps. And 4K cameras are like, it's basically going to be like $1,000. It's going to take me a little while to get there, but I mean, we're on our way, and yeah, hopefully it just means that I can basically produce higher quality content going forward. So yeah, I appreciate you using the link, Dolph. It's much appreciated. This is how I run my list. I have 3 Power Fist Infernal Pistols and 4 Standard in my 7-man Death Company. What do you mean by Standard? You mean just bolt guns and chainsword guys? Is that what you mean by Standard? Sorry. Cool, we're done with base coats. Thank God, because I was so bored of them. Any Vanguard veterans can carry Infernal Pistols. Then that's really interesting. You know, like, what about 4 with Lightning Claws and Storm Shields, and what about 2 with Infernal Pistols? And I mean, you could just keep Lightning Claws. I mean, like, do you really need the Power Fist? I mean, there's a lot of things now that 2 damage weapons are going to suck against, right? Right. For example, Dreadnoughts. For example, Death Guard. So maybe like, and I guess as more codexes come out, maybe it's going to be the same thing. 2 damage weapons are going to be, they're just going to be weaker. So yeah, maybe just have a think about that. I'd say. I'll let you know anyway. I've built 3 guys to Lightning Claws, and I'm going to build at least 2 more, maybe 3 more in the very near future, and I'll be including them in my list very soon, I'm sure. Show us the maths. Power Fists, Infernal Pistols, Death Company, let's go. I mean, it's hard to show the math for that, because like a big part of that is, are you within 6 inches, right? If you're in 6 inches, Infernal Pistols are amazing, but like, it's all about, are you within 6 inches? So because for a little while there, like, I think it's actually in one of the battle reports that's on the channel, right? Like, I was using Dante, and I was using in Sanguinary Guard, and it was like a 9-man Sanguinary Guard with 2 Infernal Pistols. So basically, we have like Dante and 2 Infernal Pistols, right? And like, I'd play games where what would happen is I'd shoot all 3 Infernal Pistols at close range just before I charge, and I'd hit nothing, or I'd hit and I wouldn't wound. I'd do 0 damage with them. But I've also had games where I've shot all 3 Infernal Pistols close range. Bear in mind, I usually give the Sanguinary Guard the Chapter Master reroll buffs, so they're usually hitting on 2s, rerolling 1s, right? Or, you know, part of the reason to give them the reroll buffs as well means that like the Power Fists that I have in the squad as well can reroll, right? But You know, like I've had games where I've basically in close range been like, right, 3 infernal pistols, bang, that's 20 damage into a demon prince or something. You know, and it's just like an outright kill of like a high threat just because you have a few infernal pistols in there. Now it doesn't always happen, like I said. Sometimes you'll just go in a game and you'll miss all 3 shots, but when you hit and you wound and they fail some saves, you know, d6 plus 2 damage can add up pretty darn quick. So, I mean, it's something to consider. Airbrushing makes painting the base coats a lot easier and quicker once you learn how. Helps with burnout too. Yeah, I mean, I just don't, I don't really have the room in this house for an airbrush. This room that I'm in is just packed with stuff, so it's fine. I mean, I've got through everything that I need to get through, and even if it's, you know, someone actually asked today, and am I ever going to do a video about motivation for painting? You know, because I was basically just saying like I am hating painting red right now, and the way I motivate myself for painting is like it's more like I just don't try and look too much at the end result, or don't try and look at something that I'm hating, and it's just like, just pick up the paintbrush and do some painting. And you know, if you do that every day, then before you know it, you'll have models finished. And it's just like, build a habit of just doing a little bit every day is the way I look at it, and try not to worry. You know, there's always going to be days where you have painting that's annoying, or you make mistakes or whatever. So and do you know what, I just painted 10 infiltrators, like I guess a couple of weeks ago. So painting 5 incursors, which are basically the same models, and we'll be doing like pretty much the same color scheme. The only thing that will be different is the head. Does that excite me? Not really, but like, you know, I just don't think about that. I'm just like, yeah, every day we'll just do some painting. Try not let the burnout even, you know, just, there isn't even a battle about burnout, right? It's just like, I just need to do the painting. It's Is that a Stern Guard with Lightning Claw and Storm Shield? I'm screaming on the inside as a Crimson Fist player. These. So, this is Chapter Master Raldorn, who is a Forge World model, and I'm going to use him as my company champion, and he's going to have a combat shield, and he's allowed bodyguards, and they're company veterans. So, these are actually. I believe these are either Stern Guard legs, or they're actually Blood Angels Tactical Squad legs, because I got a bunch of them and they're very similar. So they might be either or, I'm not entirely sure. But yes, they're basically, I'll be running them as company veterans, and they will be, because there's a special bodyguard rule they're allowed, which basically means like if they're within 3 inches of a character, even if though they're just a squad of 1 guy or 2 guys, if they're within 3 inches of the character, you're not allowed to shoot the character, because essentially I guess those guys with their storm shields jump in the way and take the rounds. So yeah, maybe they are Stern Guard veteran legs, brother, but like I guess I'm just saying that they're company veterans. But yeah, I mean, like, I don't know. It's really hard to argue with the 3 points per model for the Lightning Claws right now. All the sims that I've been doing with it, I'm like, wow, these are actually crazy good, and the additional attack as well. You know, like Blood Angels totally, like we get a crazy amount of bonus attacks anyway. So just having more bonus attacks is generally crazy good. Oh right, yeah. So when you meant standard, you meant bolt pistol and chainsword. Well, that's fine. I mean, I think I do generally think that the power fist and infernal pistol is an interesting option. I'll try it. You know what? I'll build these last few Death Company guys that I've got as power fifth. I'm gonna have to do another mad batch of Death Company. Like I probably have like 25 Death Company models with jump packs that need painted. Um, so I do like a mad batch paint of all of them. That'll be fun, and that'll be a lot of edge highlighting, that's for sure. I just bought assault intercessors, then came across your analysis on them. Should I just return them? I don't know if I would return them. I mean, what are your other troops in your list right now? And assault intercessors are generally, I guess, like I would say a lot of Blood Angels players, and I would say even competitive players. Some of them use assault intercessors. And you know what? I'm on an 8-game win streak, or at least before COVID, I was on an 8-game win streak, and that 8-game win streak had assault intercessors in the list every single time, just because I didn't own any incursors. Hence, I'm painting cursors right now. But I don't necessarily think assault intercessors are the worst unit. I mean, if you want me to rate the troops that we have right now, you know, like infiltrators and incursors are first, and then I would say assault intercessors are second. I generally rate regular intercessors below assault intercessors because we're just not as good at shooting as we are at close combat. And then I guess like the firstborn tactical marines are definitely going to be, in my opinion, they are the weakest. They do, you know, they only have one attack, which is kind of shitty, and then their bolters are also kind of shitty now. You know, a lot of things have moved on, and they haven't. And a strength 4 weapon with no AP is generally not going to do that much. It feels like anymore. So yeah, I mean, I'm not sure I would just outright return them. And yeah, I mean, I guess the game that I played against Necrons, which was a really tough game, and the Necrons had like 80 Necron warriors. You know, I actually used Honor of the Chapter, like Highland Phoenix says, at a really critical time in that game, and it helped me wipe out a whole squad of Necron warriors before they could use a Resurrection Orb. So I think there's room for assault intercessors. I think like if you're wanting to play at the highest levels of competitiveness, if you're going to include assault intercessors, you need a really clear goal for them. You know, I've run them before where I put them in Impulsor, and I think that's okay as well. Like sometimes, you know, people back in the day used to like running a lot of tactical squads and Razorbacks and stuff, and I mean, I generally don't think that's a strong tactic right now. And I don't think it's the Razorback that's the weak part. I think it's the tactical marines. So if you wanted to run an Impulsor with like some sort of character in it and 5 assault intercessors, then you know I think that's okay, and I think you can make that work as long as you have a clear strategy for it. But if you are just going and wanting to just pick 100% the strongest units, then I think where you are right now for that is the Phobos troops. But I mean, it all comes around, goes around, right? Like, although the Phobos troops are the strongest right now, there's nothing to say that, you know, a new rule won't come out and then all of a sudden everyone will be running assault intercessors. Every edition, all this stuff changes. So, just bear that in mind, I guess, dude. I'm trying to think of the video that I did where I analysed assault intercessors and said they were a bad choice. I mean, I thought I analysed Death Company intercessors and said that they were a bad choice. I thought I said that if you had Death Company intercessors, you should just make more assault intercessors, because I think the assault I think you have to choose between Death Company intercessors and Assault intercessors. I think I choose the Assault ones as well, just because they have OBSEC, and also they're more flexible, right? Because the Death Company can't fall back, they can't do objectives. Winter SEO had a great battle report that was Blood Angels v Tyranids. I think it was 3,000 Blood Angels v 5,000 Tyranids, where the Blood Angels player just had to survive to the end of the game. Yeah, is that basically a Devastation of Baal game? When did that go up? Was that recently, or? It's taken me a while on my bike captain because I'm painting him to a higher standard. Still have ways to go, but I think he looks really good. Yeah, I can't wait to see your bike captain. I may actually need my bike captain is not ready. I actually might need a really good Blood Angels bike captain picture for a thumbnail for a YouTube video. So I may ask in the Facebook group if everyone could send me their bike captain, and I'll pick one for a thumbnail. Greetings, Jeff. Good evening. How you doing, brother? Yeah, and I mean, D King says he thinks that they're decent if you get them to the middle of the board. Yeah, and I mean, Honor of the Chapter is a really good stratagem. I guess it's all about having those assault intercessors in the right place. So if your positioning is with them is good and you use them correctly, then yeah, I don't think they're bad. And like I said, I have been running them in all my lists. I've been running them with infiltrators since probably like September, maybe. But yeah, my idea is to move to a fully full boss troops list. So this is why I'm once again painting more troops. And yeah, I mean, having just finished a batch paint of 10 of these guys, doing another 5. This black is not working nice tonight. Yeah, it is a shame. Death Company intercessors do look very cool, but I mean their weapon options are very limited, brother, and I just don't know why Games Workshop still haven't done jump packs or jump something for Primaris units. You know, like we've had Primaris units 2 years. There's actually a page in the Blood Angels Codex that talks about how the Primaris guys, the Primaris replacements for Blood Angels love jump packs. I'm like, okay, then why can't they fucking wear any of them? But yeah, I mean it's in the lower section of the new codex, so take that as you will, I guess. Obviously, the guy that writes the lore didn't speak to the guy that makes the rules. Good evening, Adam. How you doing? Just to clarify, an impulsor repulsor, any vehicle can carry Primaris, cannot carry Firstborn, correct? Yeah, I mean, that's another rule that I really want to see them update. Like, the only thing I could see is like rhinos are kind of smaller, or razorbacks are kind of smaller, so maybe they shouldn't be able to carry Primaris. But like, land raiders, in my opinion, should be able to carry Primaris, just like impulsors, repulsors should be able to carry non-Primaris. I think if they did that, it would just switch up the meta a bit. Like, more people would be using these things, and like, I don't think it breaks anything. If anything, I think it just gives us more option. Like, I think repulsors are way overcosted, right? Like, they're like 380 points, and they have a 3+ save. I think that's generally terrible for a model that costs 380 points. You know, like, it can get killed in one turn without the enemy having to even... It doesn't even feel like they have to do a whole lot of shooting at it to kill it. So, Like, is a Land Raider better? You know, with its 2+ save? I mean, for sure, I would, if I had to pick one, a Land Raider or a Repulsor, I'd pick the Land Raider every day. And I think the Land Raider, I think it costs like 60, 70 points less, right? And maybe it can actually survive a round of shooting. And it's got Machine Spirit. I'm not sure if a Repulsor has Machine Spirit actually. But the Land Raider has that thing, so for a couple of CP you can run it or keep fighting it full profile for the next turn. So it's strange. You're right, Jeff, but it's really strange that they haven't addressed that yet, and I don't know what it breaks. Like, I just think it opens things up if they let it. And like I said, I don't think they need to let everything. You know, like Rhino or a drop pod maybe makes sense because these are smaller things that were designed for the smaller units. So like, keep that. But if it's something big that can definitely fit those bigger units, then just let the bigger units go in it and just let people choose or buy more, right? I don't think it hurts the game at all, but maybe there's something I'm not seeing. You know, I'm not a game designer for Warhammer, I guess. I prefer heavy intercessors over assault intercessors. Toughness 5 and 3 wounds is better at objective babysitting than assault variant. And I mean, yeah, I mean, but that's a different strategy altogether, right? Is the new heavy intercessors being used? Like, they're not even out yet, right? I guess they're coming out with the Kill Team box in March, from what I understand. So, but I mean, assault intercessors are better at probably pushing into the middle, you know, making some counter charges, and honouring the chapter if needed. And I do sort of wonder how heavy intercessors will shake up the meta. I'm going cross-eyed trying to get in behind here. Currently painstaking edge heighting 5 infiltrators. At least I'm not doing base cots. That's the worst job. Yeah. Well, enjoy your edge highlighting. I do like infiltrators though. I generally think they're a really solid unit choice, you know. They just always seem to perform well for me. I'm interested to see how incursors do, because I've never run a squad of incursors, but I've seen them be used by like top players, and they generally make, you know, the thing that I actually really like about them is the paired combat blades as well. You know, getting that additional AP in close combat kind of gives them the best of both worlds, I think. Death Company intercessors look cool. Yeah, I mean, they look cool, man. I mean, are they as competitive as Firstborn? Like, you know, I have 20 assault intercessors actually sitting in this box next to me, and my plan with them was to make them into Death Company intercessors, you know, but like, I've just got no motivation to, because I just don't think they're that good right now. Like, they need improved weapon options. The absence of normal jump packs Primaris is a crime. One of my biggest pet peeves is the whole Primaris thing. Yeah, I mean, I guess I think I said before in the stream, I really thought Reavers were going to be the Primaris jump troops, you know, with the grav shoots and stuff. And they were going to lean on that, but yeah, I mean, I guess it just never materialized. jump chapter of the Imperium replenished after battle with Primaris just get intercessors? Honestly, let me show you this. Give me 1 second. So who was the guy earlier asking if you should assemble your models before painting them? Because here's a guy with a gun right next to his chest. It's always fun to try and get in and paint in it. Right. I'm sure you guys all have the Blood Angels Codex for the new edition, right? Let me see if I can find the page. It'll just take me like 1 second. Yeah, alright, page 42 of the new Blood Angels Codex. Here you go. On Wings of Fire. And we'll put on some sort of Blood Angels voice for this, right? So like, all Blood Angels have an innate affinity for aerial combat. Through the mutation that produced Sanguinius's wings has never been repeated, the Primarch's heirs maintain their love of flight. Hold on, let me find the bit. To a Blood Angels, a jump pack is no simple machine or battlefield tool. It is an extension of their physical form, a manifestation of the spirit bond between Primarch and Scion, and a reminder that even in death, his hands still guide the chapter. This is as true of Primaris Blood Angels as it is of any son of Sanguinius. It also goes to some way to explain why many Blood Angels players are naturally talented pilots. But like that sentence there about all Blood Angels love jump packs, and it is true of Primaris Blood Angels. Right. Did anyone spot the problem? Like, the lower guy definitely didn't speak to the guy making the rules, right? Or, you know, like that was one of those like infamous water cooler moments. Good evening, Jonathan. How you doing, brother? Where it's like, hey, so two devs meet at the water cooler, and one of them says, hey, do you think it'd be cool if Primaris Blood Angels got jump packs? And the other guy goes, yeah, that sounds great. Primaris jump packs on Blood Angels totally makes sense. I mean, they are the jump pack chapter. Let me go speak to the lower guys and find out if it's possible, and then I'll get back to you. So the guy goes to speak to the lower guy. Hey, what do you think about Primaris jump packs? The guy in the lower department goes, dude, I've been waiting for you to come and tell me that Blood Angels should have jump packs. The Primaris guys, it totally makes sense. I love that idea. Tell you what, we've got the new codex coming out. I'll make sure that we write that into the new codex. Alright, cool, sounds good. And then an hour later, the other guy gets back to his desk. You've all been there, right? Like, you get back to your desk, and you're like, what was I doing before lunch again? Oh no, I can't remember. It's fine. Never mind, can't have been that important. If it was important, it'll come back to me, you know? And that's why all Blood Angels are all Blood Angels, including Primaris, have an innate affinity for jump packs. P.S. There's no Primaris jump packs. I have a question. What would you all add to build a list around Vanguard vets and Blade Guard vets? How many are we talking of both of those? Because I guess that the list will depend a lot on how many point, like, are we talking 10 Vanguard vets, 5 Blade Guard veterans? What are you thinking, Jonathan? Reavers should have been the Primaris Death Company. It would have made them more interesting. Yeah, especially with those skull masks, right? I mean, that's a missed opportunity right there, because those skull masks are really great. I'm not sure Heavy Intercessor is going to be good for Blood Angels. I just don't see for a unit like that in most lists. Yeah, I mean, good evening, Pedrog. I didn't see you jump in there. Sorry. How you doing, man? I guess the way I see running a Heavy Intercessor squad as a Blood Angels player is it would be a single 5-man squad that are sat on a backfield objective. We'd equip them with the 42-inch range rifles, and we would give them Quake bolts. So they're just going to sit there, they're going to pop off 5, they're not going to move, so there's no -1 to hit bullshit. They're just going to sit still on a backfield objective every turn. They're going to pop off 5 strength 5 shots at 42 inches. You know, strength 5 -2 damage, so we're going to aim to like take out the enemy's troops with those. And we also have Quake bolts on the sergeant, so that we will, you know, we will pick a target within 42 inches that is going to get charged by another unit, and we will make sure that we hit them with the sergeant, so that that unit that eventually does do the charging gets +1 to hit. I think putting Quake bolts on a unit like that, that's going to see across the whole battlefield, like maybe that unit, maybe the sergeant can be deployed up on an elevated position or something like that. I think that's stronger than like giving a single unit, let's say, like Vanguard veterans, like putting the sergeant with a Vanguard veteran with a bolt pistol and Quake bolts, because like he's only going to get to Quake bolts what he's fighting. Whereas if there was like a guy at an elevated position that had a good view of the battlefield, you could Quake bolts targets, you know, at will maybe, and give you a bit more flexibility there. I mean, it's hard to say for sure, but I mean, until we actually get to run Heavy Intercessors, you know, they're not out for another month or something. But I mean, I did proxy them in one battle, and generally, I mean, like if you think, you know, Gravis units are generally pretty survivable. And if they aren't moving and they're just sitting in an objective and they can maybe get in some sort of light cover as well, then, you know, a 2-up save on a toughness 5 model with 3 wounds, is, you know, it's going to be pretty difficult for the enemy to shift. That's how I view the Heavy Intercessors. And yeah, maybe they don't synergize 100% with what we normally do, but it's also going to be quite a secure pick. You know, like if the enemy does deep strike in to try and take out Heavy Intercessors, then, you know, they aren't going to just get shifted very easily. Like I said, just because there's, you know, they're quite survivable. And there is that one stratagem for 1 CP, I guess, that makes 1 damage weapons. Gravis, it can give you +1 to your save on Gravis as well. So you could boost their save even more, and obviously they can transhuman, and yeah, I think I think Heavy Intercessors will do a job for us. Whether or not they'll be worth the 140 points you have to spend on them, I guess that'll be up for debate. But yeah, I don't think they're going to be a bad unit, and you know, they definitely play a little bit different from what we normally do, but I mean that's okay. I mean, maybe Primaris loved jump packs so much they kept them safe in the Thunderhawk, then realised this is a firstborn transport, so couldn't get on it to get their packs back. Yeah, I mean maybe, Adam. 10 and 10, why not? Okay, 10 Blade Guard veterans, 10 Vanguard veterans. How would you play around this? Well, I'd probably still take a Sanguinary Guard. I'd probably still take, you know, a couple of Phobos units probably. Character-wise, I mean, I definitely still, you know, like I think you'd probably want the Librarian. I mean, I think you generally want the Librarian anyway. The Selfless Healer, I think, pairs amazingly with the Blade Guard veterans. You know, like they're a very good model to heal and or revive, and you know, like I like a Chapter Master a lot, but you can do other things like a Death Company Captain on a bike. That can be very strong as well. and I'm trying to think, 10 Blade Guard veterans would be like 350 points, 10 Vanguard vets is probably like 350 points, so you've probably got enough room in there as well for a little bit of heavy support, some eradicators or something, and then I mean, if you want, I have a list that I was working on that has 5 Blade Guard vets in it. The list actually doesn't have any Vanguard vets, but I might be dropping Death Company to put Vanguard vets in. So I maybe have a list that is 5 Blade Guard vets and 5 Vanguard vets, so it would be switchable to that very easily. I can send that to you, Jonathan, and I mean, or I can just post it in the Facebook group if you want me to. And it is a list that I've been working on for a while, and I think I'm going to use it the next time we can go live with the battle. But yeah, I mean, typically, I guess, if you are going to run 10 Blade Guard vets, then yeah, I mean, I guess the question comes into like, are we running an impulsor to get some of them across the battlefield? Because there's a lot of points to spend, I guess, on close combat units but that have no transport. Like, if you just want to have 3 Blade Guard vets that want to get to the middle of the battlefield, or maybe even 5 that want to get to the middle of the battlefield, that seems to me to be okay. But if you were just like, oh, I'm going to get 10, then by having 10, I feel like you're going to be wanting to contest the enemy's backfield or more deep objectives onto the map, and that's maybe going to be tricky if you only have basically them running along on foot, you know. Ah, fudge. See if we can get this off. That's annoying. Don't you hate it when you do that? Take Oath of Moment, of course. Yeah, I mean, I would take a champion and maybe a Judicar to escort the Blade Guard up the board. I mean, another option, I suppose, is you could just take an Apothecary as well, right? Like, as well as we talk about taking the Sanguinary Priest all the time, but if your Blade Guard are just walking, then you're probably not going to get there before, like, the Blood Chalice is probably going to not be that useful because you're not going to get there before it kicks in. You're not going to make turn 1 or turn 2 charges. So you could just have an Apothecary join those Blade Guard and move up the middle of the battlefield. That would work as well, I think. I mean, you can still put Selfless Healer on the Apothecary and just keep bringing them back to life, or keep healing multiple units. 140 points is a 5-man Vanguard Veteran squad. Yeah, that's 140 with Lightning Claws and the Storm Shield, isn't it? I think that is like the de facto loadout now, Pedro. Did you watch the video of the Death Company versus the Lightning Claws this week? HQ Chapter Master, Utility Librarian, Sanguinary Priest. Yeah, I mean that, or go for some sort of like double van. It wouldn't even need to be a double Vanguard, would it? It could be a patrol and a Vanguard. If you really want to get a 4th HQ in there, you could do that way. I like 2 times 5 incursors and 2 times intercessors for sitting back. 25% of points in HQ, 50% in elites, and last 25% on whatever one wants. Troops optional. Yeah, I mean, I guess that's probably about right. The troops, I mean, I'm finally painting in cursors, so. But yeah, I mean, in cursors, at the top level play right now, it seems like people are generally taking. In cursors are the preferred choice. I think I'm getting tired. My eyes are fogging over a bit. Yep, and I just dropped the model, so that's definitely a sign of tiredness. I've made a right sorter of those bases as well, so I think it's time to call it. I'm just going to tidy up that last little bit. Infiltrators are better for sitting back. Yeah, I mean, infiltrators are great for sitting back and screening. Nothing will beat them for doing that, it seems like. I guess just... I think there's two ways of playing Blood Angels right now, and one way is a little bit more defensively, and I think that's the way I lean. And then the other way is sort of like that hyper aggression, infiltrator, and cursors really pushing on forward, Forlorn Fury in turn one, all that sort of good stuff is the other way. And I think, like, I generally think both ways are pretty decent. Just I tend to win more playing the way that I run my army. So, but yeah, I mean, I can see why. Infiltrators are more like for like essentially playing defensively, and then cursors are much more for like playing offensively. So, but I mean, it doesn't picking them doesn't like pigeonhole you into you can only do the one thing. Right? You can still pick infiltrators and go offensively if you want. It just seems to be the way they can be used, or the way that they tend to be used once picked. Is maybe that. Would that be fair to say, I think? Pretty sure I commented and liked it. By the way, if one hasn't already done so, hit the subscribe button. Yeah, I mean, I should have probably said that tonight. If you are here for the first time, or if you're enjoying, please hit the like and subscribe. And yeah, I actually have quite a big long video going out tomorrow at the normal time. I should have probably mentioned it before. So tomorrow's video started as a guide video. So it was going to originally be a guide for building an army list, and then it changed and morphed, which is sometimes what happens with YouTube videos. Is like if you're not 100% sure in the direction, or you try and speak about too much, the video can morph, I think. So tomorrow's video has morphed into a monster. It's like a 31 minute long video, and we're going to talk about congrats on finishing your edge highlighting, Gitley. So tomorrow's video is going to be like a 31 minute long monster. We're going to talk about everything from secondaries to deployments to strategies to making your first army. Just got home from work. What did you do today? Oh, sorry. I mean, I guess nothing much on today. I'm just working on. Well, I had a bunch of base coats of red to do, so barely got nothing done. But got a tiny little bit of the first base color onto the infiltrators. So basically nothing tonight. But I mean, it still took 2 hours. So just the base coats for this new army list is done. I will hopefully, I think we're about 10 days away from our lockdown ending here in the UK, so hopefully we'll be back with some sort of live games in about 10 days time. And honestly, the second they end the lockdown, I'm just going to arrange to play Warhammer for the entire day, so we'll maybe do like 3 live games back to back. Anyone recommended some glue? This stuff is amazing glue, and it's super cheap. You'll find it on Amazon, and it's basically plastic glue. And one of these tubs costs about $2 or $3, and it'll last you like a couple of years, even if you're getting new models every month. So, Revel, contact a professional. Revel is the brand. So yeah, so tomorrow's tactics video doesn't have any mass hammer. The reason that it doesn't have any mass hammer is I actually kind of made the conscious choice. after doing Math Hammer on Tuesday, I was like, right, I want to do something that isn't Math Hammer because I've just done a shitload of it for the last couple of nights. So let's try something different. So tomorrow's video, I'd really appreciate it if you guys let me know in the feedback if you like it, if you think it's helpful, and if you'd like to see more like it. I can definitely make more like it, but it is something very different. And I'm struggling to actually work out how to title a video as well, because it started, I was going to call it an army list guide, but it's turned into, like, I'm not even sure what it's turned into. Let me see. I can probably show you guys before we leave tonight, and maybe someone can give me a suggestion in the chat. Let's see. Right. So this is where I thought I would start with, like, an army list guide for making a strike force for 2,000 points, right? And then these are what we're covering tomorrow. So we're going to cover. Oh, I better move my camera so you can actually read this shit. So yeah, we're covering list goals, detachments and upgrades, strategies and secondaries, our chapter strengths and weakness, deployment, plus a game plan for deployment, plus charges from deep strike, plus next steps. So yeah, this is a beast. Blood Angels 101. That's actually not a bad idea. Would people search Blood Angels 101 on YouTube? Because if people don't search it, then people don't find the video, right? I mean, I guess subscribers find it, but new people don't. But do you know what? Maybe you're right. Maybe Blood Angels 101 is a cool idea. But yeah, so have a 31-minute video talking about all this stuff, recommending what secondaries you could pick, recommending what strategies, deployment. It's a long one, and it's just trying to do something different, because sometimes keeping things fresh is a good idea, I feel like, on YouTube. Yeah, Blood Angels, list writing, everything you need to know your army, tips and tricks. Yeah, maybe that's not a bad one. Blood Angels basic training, you like that? Okay. So yeah, this will be going out tomorrow, and please, I mean, even if you hate the video, YouTube actually loves it when people comment on videos. That's when you like a video and you comment on a video, YouTube counts that as like a double like. Maybe I need to do the whole Dr. Evil double like. What was that when he did that in that movie? He was like laser. Or was it not like dolphins with lasers on their head or something? So even if you hate the video, if you give it the double like, so to speak, YouTube will then start recommending it to other people, and something like that. So yeah, basic training is better too. All right, so this will be going live tomorrow, and I'm sure, like, it's basically like a brain dump of all the knowledge that I have right now with 9th edition, and if you like it, we'll do something else like this in the future, and if you don't like it, then we can get back to what we normally do. Or we'll, I am going to try and keep the channel fresh, so that there's always something to learn, something new to watch and enjoy. And no, I really appreciate you guys hanging out tonight, and I appreciate the suggestions, because yeah, there's a few times when I've done videos when, like, they've got away from me, and I guess what I mean by that is, like, I've started with this idea, right, like, we're going to do this video, and then it's like, alright, sure, we're going to do this video, but this variable's come up, or this variable's come up, and the video has, like, got, like, it's got very long, but, like, I feel like I'm not quite sure the direction. So alright, I'm going to head off though, because like I said, my eyes are getting a bit foggy, and I need to be up in the morning. So I hope you guys all, yeah, laser beam, was that it? Man, I always wish they make another Austin Powers movie. Everything else gets rebooted now. They could make Austin Powers 4, I'm sure. No, you're very welcome. I'm glad you enjoyed the stream. I'm glad you guys hang out. Really appreciate you guys being here every time you stream. It means a lot. And we should be back, I would think, at least once. Once over the weekend with some sort of other hobby video. We'll get some more paint on these guys and we'll continue. So yeah, alright guys, I hope you all have a good night. Thanks very much for tuning in. We'll see you tomorrow if you're in the comments or in the weekly stream. You all stay safe, have a good evening, and hopefully I'll catch some of you on Sunday as well for the live show. So by the blood are we made, guys. Good night and peace.